Hello guys, and it seems like nobody wants back to the USSR. No matter what Putin does, no matter how much his propagandists speak and actually how much money he spends to buy politicians in the former republics of the USSR, nobody sane wants back to this monstrous totalitarian state. And his dream is disappearing with each day of Ukrainian resilience and with very strong and important protests in Georgia, with the disagreement in Tajikistan that they actually demonstrate to Kremlin openly, and now Armenia getting ready to improve NATO standards and hopefully one day will apply for NATO membership. So this dream of Putin to restore Soviet Union becomes impossible with each day of our fight. And I think it's extremely important to understand what is happening on these territories and especially in Georgia right now, as we have to help these people protect their European future. So let me tell you more from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective who was born back in the USSR. My name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda and fake news. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. Georgia is a very important country for Russia and for the democratic world. We may remember how in 2008 Russia attacked Georgia, and that was the signal to all democratic world Russia will continue. That was a signal to us too, but we hoped nothing bad will happen to our country. And this is, by the way, a reminder to those who believe that if you do not have a direct border with Russia, you are 100% safe from their evil plans. No, Russia is like cancer. It spreads unpredictably and traces of its toxic influence can be found all over the world. But now let's return back to Georgia. In 2008, they attacked the country. 20% of Georgia are still occupied by Russia. They are known for the creation of quasi-fake republics that now there are now 2 on the territory of Georgia. And after that, after they did not manage to take over Tbilisi, reforms started, and people of Georgia always wanted to be members of the EU family. But you know, reforms are always bad. Russian influence is strong. Georgia is a small country in comparison to Ukraine, and somehow in 2012 or a bit later, Russia-funded oligarchs managed to get more control over the country. Right now, Georgian government did not demonstrate support to Ukraine. You might have noticed that, contrary to Georgian people. And by the way, there are lots of Georgian volunteers in Ukrainian International Legion. But anyway, at the moment, the head of the leading party in Georgia is a pro-Russian oligarch. Whenever you have an oligarch as a head of the party, you are sure to find a Russian trace. Russia is a country known for corruption. So right now, after December 2023, Georgia gained a candidacy for the European Union despite some complicated processes. Once again, people of the country want to join EU and NATO, and the ruling party is funded from Russia. So right now they are trying to approve a law which contradicts all the standards of freedom in EU and NATO and thus imposes problems on the future integration of Georgia. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and all brave democratic countries that fight against authoritarian Russian evil. So right now they try to get a law according to which it has a very weird Soviet-style name of foreign agents. So whenever you have an NGO or you have a media company that gets more than 20% of funding from another country, it is considered an agent of that country. So can you imagine all grant programs, all the various funds that support democratic anti-corruption initiatives will be forbidden. And it's a tragedy for countries that are intoxicated with Russian influence, for countries that have to fight corruption, because personally what I observe in Ukraine, all the strongest initiatives that uncover these networks, this evil in ecology, in economy, in trade, in government, they are always funded by various programs, not from within a country where people can fight for something. And here we have in Georgia, oligarch, the head of the party, does not want his corruption cases to be investigated. And lots of people are on the protests. And unfortunately, 15 are already in the hospitals. What is interesting, the president of Georgia is pro-European and she tried to veto the law, but it won't work well because the prime minister has more power in this country. And another trouble for Georgia is that after the start of Russian invasion and when Putin announced the very first mobilization, hundreds of thousands of Russians escaped to Georgia and now changed the life of this country. The prices for real estate went up. They dictate their Russian rules. They demand Russian language everywhere, and they do not assimilate. They do not respect the country, but they distort the life inside of that country, the culture inside of that country. And that's a great tragedy, because once again, in a couple of years, they may address Putin traditionally, come and liberate us from Georgians in Georgia, you know? So I feel very anxious. I would like to express my support. If I have some Georgian subscribers, please be strong and fight for your freedom. We need to be together in European Union, in NATO. We don't want back to the USSR. And Tajikistan is a country that was also a former republic, and many Tajik people are working in Russia and they suffer greatly now after this attack on Moscow Crocus Center that Russia does not investigate properly. But Russians are very chauvinistic and now they have huge waves of hatred towards these people. They suffer greatly, they are under attack, and a Russian government does not react. So Tajikistan had to address Russian embassy and ask for protection for these people. This is once again for those who believe that Russia safeguards something. No, Russia simply clashes peoples, clashes cultures, and undermines their existence and their right to be beautiful, strong, developing, and so on. And Armenia understood that beautifully. Armenia was on the orbit of Russian influence because it needed protection from Azerbaijan. They have conflicts that were once again encoded by the way Soviet Union built borders. It was someone very mean, but at the same time very clever, that tried to encode various conflicts in the borders of the countries. And they had a brief war in summer or in autumn, and Putin did not help out. And that's why Armenia finally understands that Russia is not a friend to trust. And that's why they have agreed on a plan with NATO for 2024, and hopefully will make their steps in the right direction away from the monster of the Soviet Union. Let me know in the comments below, do you think Georgia will make it out this time? Because I'm sure it will. We have to support such initiatives all over the world because, first of all, people, countries have a right to be independent and choose their future according to the standards of normal life, not totalitarian Iran, North Korea, China, Russia style life. And also because they have demonstrated their resilience not once. And for the third moment, which is also important, this makes Russia weaker. And this makes Russia weaker in the eyes of its evil partners too. Thank you for buying me coffees and becoming my patrons and helping me film more. Remember to check our beautiful merch shop with lots of items that work well as conversation starters and reminders about Ukraine. Subscribe to my Instagram, I'm active there and share something from my Kyiv trip. Also, I'm on Discord, Threads, and Twitter, but most importantly, thank you for being friends of mine and friends of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!